Hello everybody, this is Dan McCready. I'll be doing the tutorial today, and the tutorial today is about questions about logging on to myHOAst. Now there are three basic things to look at when trying to help somebody who is having a difficulty logging on. The first one is to make sure they are at the right site. With every host product, we provide you the site of your private and secure community website. There are three basic rules. One is we always say don't type www. We are not on the World Wide Web. You cannot search for us. And the second one is there is a community name on the logon screen. So we need them to verify that they can see their own community name. And the last one is that there is a hot link in the email that they receive, and that is the clearest and easiest way to get to the correct site. Now I'll be going through each of these with examples, but let's finish the three areas. The second area is the user is not entering their credentials correctly. This could be misreading them, like seeing an O and thinking it's a 0, or a 1 and thinking it's an L. There's also mistyping it, just an average mistake, just typing something different than they intend to type. And there's also the copy and paste problem. Copy and paste is always recommended because then you don't care if it's an O or a 0. You just take exactly what's there. But I'll show you a typical problem that can occur with the copy and paste. And number three is not using your latest credentials. The credentials, when you get a new, fresh credentials, it invalidates all previous ones. So you need to make sure you're using the latest ones. So let's start at the top and have examples. The first one says, don't type www. Okay, I'm going to show you where we want to go. Here's where we want to go. And if you look at the URL up here, it's p-place.myhoast.com. This is the logon screen. And you see there's no www. Well, let's say I was to put in a www. I'll type in a www.p-place.myhoast, the same URL, but this time with www. And I get here, the connection is not private. A problem here. Up here on the top, not secure. So we're not getting to the right place merely because I typed www. So you want to be sure that that is not there. Now, what if they were to proceed? I'll hit advance here. They'll say continue on. And they're not going to get anywhere at all. Okay, so as you saw from the site we wanted to go to, this is the name here. There is no www. That is the first error that could occur. Number two is verify your community name is on the logon screen. Now this is the logon screen. My community name is Presidential Place. The first thing I do is I ask them to read me their URL to make sure it's the proper one. Second thing I ask is, what do they see? Log on to what? If it says log on to anything other than their community name, then again, they're at the wrong site. So verify your community name is on the logon screen. And the last one here is use the hot link in the email. Rather than typing this, rather than all those other potential problems, I can go here to my email, and this is the email I received. And it says, welcome to myHOAst, has some information, and at the bottom it says log on to your community site by clicking this link, and there's a link there. This is geared, so all you have to do is go here and click the link, and you immediately go to your proper site. You go to this page here, and again, when I hit log on, I should see my community name. Click log on, and there's my community name. So that is the easiest way to get around the problems. Use the emailed invitation. Now, number two is not entering the credentials correctly. If I look here again at my email credentials, it's William H. Taft, and there's my password. So obviously, if I enter William Taft without the H, I'm going to go and just copy this and paste it, and this should fail. And it fails because I didn't enter the credentials correctly. I entered William Taft, and going back here to my message there, it's William-H-Taft. So that's a very easy one. You've misread or you've mistyped your instructions. Now let's talk about the copy and paste, which is what I just did. First of all, so I'm going to copy my username. This is a recommended process. Copy that. There can be no doubt I got it correctly. There we go, William Taft. And let me copy my password. And this is not going to work. And how can it not work if I merely copied it? This is a problem that is a little bit trickier. If you look at my password that I copied, you can see that I copied a space to the left of the password. So I didn't just copy my password, I copied my password with an extra character. The password is must be very exact. So in this case here, space 7NM7JP is not the same thing as 7NM7JP. So when you copy and paste, it's very important that you don't copy a space to the left or the right. You copy exactly the password and nothing else. Okay, and the last thing is not using the latest credentials. This is a standard thing that happens with all software. It doesn't matter if you're logging into your bank or Amazon or anything else. If you say you have forgotten your username or password, they will send you new credentials. But the new credentials invalidate your previous credentials. So if you remember what they were later on, it's too late. They have made them invalid, and you must use now the new ones. So the software that we provide has the ability to send an email like the one you see here, welcome to myHOAst, with credentials. If I run this again in the software, I will get another one of these for William J. Taft. This will now be invalid, and now the new one will be valid. If I do it another time, now William H. Taft has 3 of these, and again, 2 invalids and 1 valid. The latest email, the latest invitation is the only one that's valid. That's why in the software, when you're prepared to send this out, there's a warning that says, don't do this too often. If you haven't done it for 2 months, then okay, let's give everybody a new invitation. But don't do this back to back, because only the latest invitation is valid. So if I go back to my screen here, we covered these. Don't type www. You will not get there if their www is in there. And verify your community name is on the logon screen. And use the hot link in the email you receive. Now, one thing I want to say again about this whole number one is just geared toward you must be at the right site. So let me go here again. So here is my correct, sorry to get rid of this message here. Here's my correct site. I must be there. So the first thing to ask anybody having a problem is read me the URL and let's make sure you're at the right site. Now, a user might say, I typed it, I didn't type www. I know I typed it correctly. You still need to ask to read the URL. And let me show you why that is. If I was to go to another site here, like say WashingtonPost.com, now I did not type www. I enter that, and my browser is going to throw in the HTTPS, it's going to throw in the www. The fact that this is not what I typed is important, because they might say they didn't type www, and their software or their browser may have inserted it. So again, the bottom line is, no matter what they say they typed, read this to make sure they're at the correct site. Now, another question that came up, I'll go back here. We took care of, you must be at the right site. That's the first thing to look into. Make sure they're entering the credentials correctly. Again, there's a copy and paste problem. And make sure they're using the latest set of credentials. Now, before I go to the last part about how we invite people, Julie, I've covered these three basic areas. Do we have any questions at this point?
Yes, the first question is the password case sensitive?
Yes, all passwords are case sensitive. We make sure that when we give you passwords, we give you, as your temporary password, we give you all uppercase, just to make it a little easier to read, a little easier to understand. But passwords are case sensitive. You will be asked to change your password. If you put in a password that is lowercase or a combination, it must be also lowercase or that same combination. Passwords are case sensitive, yes. Okay, Joey?
Okay, and I have another one. What do you mean by the latest invitation?
Okay, let's go to my invitation again here. That's not where I wanted to go. Here's the invitation I received. I received this because the person who was part of leadership on this community, this presidential place, they hit a button in the system that said, send invitations, or send this invitation to those who have never logged on. So that's why I got this. It's typical that 2 months from now, they will do that again. They'll say, send invitations to those who have never logged on. So I got this, let's say 2 months ago, and I still have not logged on. So 2 months from now, I'm going to get another one of these. And now it's going to have probably the same name, WHTAP, but it's going to have a different password. So now I have two emails. I have this one from today, and 2 months from now, I have another one that looks just like this, except the password's different. So 2 months from now, this email or this password has been replaced by a newer password. So in that case, where I've received two of these, only the latest one is valid. Again, that is true with all of the software that you use now, all of the websites that you provide a username and password for, all websites you log into. Okay, Julie?
Okay, I have another question. Can you change the user ID? They tried to change the name without the hyphen, but the default still comes up with the hyphen.
The default with the hyphen will come up at the beginning before you log on. Once you log on, the first screen you will get to will ask you to change that, and you can take off the hyphens. But whenever you ask for a new username and password, like say you forgot it, you want to start fresh, it will always give you the William-H-Taft as your username, but you can always change that. Again, the first time you ever log in, it's going to bring you to a screen immediately. The first screen you'll see will say, please change this, and you can drop the hyphens. After that, there is a spot under My Account. It'll say My Account, change username and password. So after the first time, you can go there and you can change this as often as you want, and yes, you can remove the hyphens. Okay?
Okay, we are good for now. Thank you.
Okay. Now, the other thing that was asked is, how do we invite people? Well, what I want you to know is that on the system here, there is a user's guide. It's under the Help menu option. And if I go to that user's guide, I will see on page 18, I will see a text email. This is the email that you can use, or the email language you can use to invite your members. Now, it says on the top there, this is for myHOAst Voter Lite and myHOAst Pro. myHOAst Voter Lite is what most people use. Now, myHOAst Voter Lite is a pure voting package, has every aspect of the voting and of the election meetings. It talks about, just in the intro, hello neighbor, we got good news. The important part is down here that says if we have a valid email address for you, you're going to receive an email containing a link to our new site along with your temporary username and password. That was what you just saw that I showed you in my email. That was the email I got that contained my temporary username and password and a link to my site. So you're telling your members, after you send it out on the system, you're sending an email saying, look for this email invitation. And it's telling them that the emails you're gonna have your community name on your email. Here's the Presidential Place email. And below that, it's saying that if you can't find this email invitation, look for it in your spam folder. And it says if you still can't find it, you can use the attached instructions to request a temporary username and password. The attached instructions are individually designed per community, and we provide that as soon as you're a client. We provide you these instructions individualized for your community. So we're saying, look for the email. If you can't find it, look in your spam folder. If you still can't find it, use these instructions that we're going to attach to this email. Now that's page 18 of the user's guide. If you go to page 19, we have the instructions for those who don't have email. These are instructions that you might put into your first notice or your notice of an election coming up. Any sort of postal mailing that goes to your members, it's a good idea to have this. This says if we don't have a valid email, then you're not going to receive the email invitation, but you can still use the attached instructions to request your temporary username and password. Again, the same attached instructions that you provided in the email to everybody, you provide those same individualized instructions to the people that are receiving postal mail. So again, page 19, your regular mailing information to log on, and page 18, the email instructions for logging on. And again, this is page 18 and page 19 in the user's guide, and the user's guide is under the help menu option when you log on to your system. Any questions, Julie?
Yes, actually, good timing. Can you actually show us where the user guide is?
I certainly can. Let's go back to here. I got William Taft. I'm going to test, make sure I can log on, huh? Copy that. There we go. Let's copy my password. Well, this is crazy. That's crazy. Let me just go ahead and log on to another username here. I'm going to log on as myself. Maybe. We'll try it again here. This is a test site. Okay, now I'm logged on. What I want you to see is that under the help menu option, if I click on the word help, there's what's under the help menu option. And you can see the top one under the help menu option is the user's guide. Is that it, Julie?
Great, yes, thank you very much.
Okay. Any more questions, Julie?
Not at this time.
Okay. Well, we've covered the reasons why somebody might have a problem logging on. The first one was getting to the wrong site. Second one was not entering their credentials correctly. And the third one was not using their latest credentials. And we talked about how page 18 and page 19 have the text recommended language. Obviously, you can modify that any way you want to invite people to log on. and every new user who logs on will be asked to change their username and their password, and there are no restrictions for that, and they become responsible for the username and the password that they select. And Julie, that's all I have.
Okay, great.